Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Apatapatamaram Sri Padan Vaishnava Sri Rupam Sagradatam Sahadamaram Pandikam Sadhiram Sadaitam Savadutam Pardana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vivasya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnabandho Jagatapate Gope Sadhudantara Sakantamasudu Tattakanchara Gorangira Khendayasari Vidhamano Sadhavajayi Pāni Hare Kriya Vanchakalpa Tarudrashta Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Gauranga Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Nama Eva Kevalam Kolam Nasti Getyam Iti Sudasakam Nam Kali Kalmasanasanam Nata Parotapaya Sarva Vedishu Drishyati Madhuram Madhudebhyopi Mangalebhyopi Mangalam Pavanam Pavanebhyopi Hare Namahe Vakevalam Jaiti Namanandarupam Murare Viramita Nijadharam Dhyana Pujadiyatam Kartamapi Sakridatam Muktinam Praninam Yad Paramam Ekam Jivanam Bhushanam So we are reading from Jaiva Dharma. Seventh chapter, Nitya Dharma, material existence. So in Godum Dvip, the Vaishnavas are performing their bhajan, their devotional service, and many persons are coming and approaching the exalted Vaishnavas there, asking questions in regards to devotional service, how to advance in devotional service. So, one Chandidas, who was very materialistic and a very miserly person, but by the will of the Lord, by the mercy of the Lord, he understood that ultimately we have to engage in the service of the Lord. So he had just come to Navadvip and he met one householder who was giving classes, and he had some questions, and that householder named Yadav Das suggested that we go to Prem Das Paramahamsa Babaji Maharaj. So they went there and asked questions, and Paramahamsa Babaji Maharaj asked one of the devotees there, one of the scholars, to answer the questions. So Yadav Das is asking about material existence. So Anantadas is explaining about the devotees who are situated in this material world. So Yadavdas is for asking why we jivas are falling into this illusory relationship in this material world. Identifying with his body, with family members. So Anantadas is explaining that the Supreme Lord is Purna Chit Shakti, Purna Chit Vastu, the complete spiritual entity. And the jivas are part and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Chit Kan, just like the sun, and then the sun rays are there. And there are many particles of the sun rays. So it is like this. Krishna is like the sun, or the sun, of course, is ultimately like Krishna. But the comparison is given. And then the individuals, just like the small particles which are there in the sunshine, very teeny. So on a sunny day, when the sun's rays are there going through the window in a house, then you can see so many small particles are there. So similarly, all the jivas, the small particles of the Supreme Lord. So two kinds of jivas are there. Those who are eternally liberated, Nitya Mukta. So they never were conditioned and they can never be conditioned. Like the gopis, Krishna's friends. They were always Krishna's friends and they will always be Krishna's friends. They can never fall into Maya. Others are there. They're called Nityabada, since time immemorial conditioned. Ultimately also eternal servants of Krishna by nature, but they're in a spiritually conditioned state. So when the material world is manifest, those Nityabhada, some of them, they will come to this material world, and then as they come to this world, they are conditioned by the external energy, the three modes of material nature. So then, of course, those who are fortunate, they will, in the human form of life only, they will try to understand the purpose of life. And then by good fortune, they may come in the association of liberated souls, and then they may be able to make advancements in spiritual life. Then another question Yadav Das is asking, why is it that our true destiny does not become manifest despite significant endeavor? So that may be our case. So we know we are the servants of Krishna, we know we are not this body, right? And we're trying to realize. So you have realized? You have realized, not so easy, huh? एक काम करो, नीचे से आसन ले आना, जल्दी। Ladies first. Okay, now you sit there. Yeah. Okay. Nice to see you. You can sit on the mat. We'll bring more mats. Yeah, no problem. From downstairs. So then Anantadas is expressing, so we may endeavor, but we may not realize our eternal relationship with Krishna. Immediately, it takes time actually. So Anantadas is saying there are two types of endeavor, appropriate and inappropriate. So by appropriate endeavor, one can become purified, and then one may become free from false ego. But by inappropriate endeavor, it is not possible to realize oneself. So then Yadavdas is asking, what are inappropriate endeavors? So Anantadas is saying, some people think that the heart will be purified if they follow karma kanda, and that they will be liberated from Maya when they practice Brahma Gyan. This type of endeavor is inappropriate. So by following karma kanda, one cannot be liberated. Although karma kanda is part of the Vedic literatures, but it is for those who are still attached to this material world and who want to become somewhat free from the difficulties, or they want to become free from the difficulties of this material world. And they want to live happy in this world. So for that purpose they have faith in the scriptures, and they may have some faith for the Lord. But they are not completely devoted to the Supreme Lord. They are more interested in living happy in this world. So therefore, their endeavor is not completely appropriate. It is inappropriate in regards to realizing the absolute truth. And those who accumulate knowledge in order to become one with the absolute truth, that is also inappropriate. Of course, they may become free from this material entanglement, they may enter the Brahma Jyoti, but what is the use? And again they will be in the conditioned position, spiritually conditioned position, where the Jiva, the Nityabada, came from. So what is the use of that? So therefore it is also known as inappropriate. Others think that by practicing Ashtanga Yoga they will enter a trance of Samadhi and attain perfection. This is another inappropriate endeavor. There are many other types as well. So those who are performing Ashtanga Yoga, they usually try to meditate on Paramatma, on the super soul within the heart. But some of them, they also try to merge in Paramatma, in the super soul, wanted to become one with Paramatma. So that is completely inappropriate. But even those who acknowledge Paramatma, so they may, to some extent, acknowledge the existence of the absolute truth. But they have some misconceptions, but basically they are not engaged in devotional service. So therefore it is also considered inappropriate. Although by itself, so the performance of Ashtanga Yoga, so that is there for purification. Yam Niyam, following rules and regulations. And then Asan, sitting properly or having some yoga postures, yoga asanas for the well-being of the body. So, and then also actually to try to make some spiritual advancement. And then pranayam, again pranayam, that is breathing exercise, and the purpose of that is also, of course, different purposes are there. First of all, to control the mind and the senses, and so in this way also that will ensure good health, and so physical health and mental health also, which are both important for spiritual practices to make advancement in spiritual life. And then pratyahara, that means controlling the mind and the senses. Although being in this world it is not easy, it is actually very difficult to control the mind and senses, especially if the sense objects are there for the eyes and the ears, then it is almost natural that the senses will go to the objects. So, for a normal person, so a normal man, so he may be attracted to a woman. So if he's not so normal, then he will be attracted to another man. And that is practically, even considered as almost demoniac, this tendency, according to Bhagavatam. And it is mentioned also that those with homosexual inclination, that started from the rightful beginning of creation. They came from the backside of Lord Brahma. But they are there, and that we can see practically even amongst devotees also, because it is a kind of conditioning of the mode of ignorance. So, and passion, of course. And sometimes even amongst devotees, it's there and they have difficulty in controlling, although they know it is not good at all. So what to speak of mode of passion, attraction between man and woman, so that is there. So just by hearing, of course in here then even so many other things are there, which a normal person in this world will be attracted to. And then the mobile is there, and then whatever they like, they will just see. Even so much so that actually, because it is very sophisticated, and this technology and the mobile, so much so that actually that if you have some liking for something, so then automatically, because you see 1 or 2 times something what you like. If somebody likes sports, then they will look there on internet on sport there when it's popping up, and then it will come again and again. Somebody is attracted to music, and then they click 1 or 2 times, and then some music will come, and different kinds of music. And so in this way actually, so it is very much even controlled by, so remote control is there. And of course, ultimately, who is in control? I mean, the material world, so those who are developing these things, this technology, whoever it may be, they are to some extent able to control. Like in, for example, they make advertisements. And then people are attracted to that and wow, okay, they see this, whatever it may be. What is there? Anyway, some sari, you see a billboard or something, a sari, and then, oh, that's a nice, and then gold ornaments, what it is? A famous company, Tanishq or something. And then, so it is there, okay, Tanishq, okay, ornaments. And then they will see a shop somewhere, oh, this is the shop I saw, and then, okay, maybe I should go there. And in this way, I mean, even for spiritual things, it is there, and even devotees are using billboard ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And wow, yes, or some other institution may be there. And in this way, some kind of then attraction will be there, and then attachment, and then some kind of subtle control may be there. But of course, the supreme controller is Krishna, and the living entity who is performing devotional service, then he can understand these things, and he's taking shelter of Krishna, and then he's being voluntarily, he's being controlled by the internal energy, by the Lord's energy, and then he is protected from the external allurements and control, which is very subtle, especially nowadays. So, but it is almost natural to be attracted to these things in this world for a normal person. But then the devotee is engaged in devotional activities, so he can withdraw the senses from the sense objects to some extent. So that is pratyahara, to withdraw the senses from the sense objects, so which is not easy, which is practically, even we may say, almost impossible. Unless one is a pure devotee, then it is possible, otherwise it is not possible. But then even if, materially speaking, one is able to do that, like the Mayavadis, but if they're not engaged in devotional service, then it is not an appropriate endeavor. But even other materialistic persons are there, and they have some purpose in life. They want to become famous, they want to become rich. So they may also be focused, and then they may also be controlled to some extent because they have some goal. And they know they have to be fixed in order to achieve the goal. And then they may be able to also, to some extent, control. But then what is the use of that? So that is also inappropriate if one wants to become football star. So he has to be controlled. And otherwise he will not be successful. And if he does something wrong, then it will be pointed out to him even by the public, or because some moral codes are there in this world also. From the government, some rules and regulations are there. So that is there. So appropriate endeavor means endeavoring towards perfection of life. So spiritual endeavor, but with Krishna or the Supreme Lord in the center, that is appropriate endeavor. Everything else is inappropriate from the point of view of the scriptures, from the point of view of what is the purpose of life, what is the goal of life. So that we have to understand. Why are these endeavors, question, why are these endeavors inappropriate? Anantadas, these methods are unsuitable because practicing them creates many obstacles that impede the attainment of one's desired goal. So the desired goal means to become Krishna conscious for a devotee. In addition, there is only a meager possibility of attaining that goal. The point is that our material existence has come about because of an offense, and unless we obtain the mercy of the person whom we offended, we will not gain release from our material condition and attain our pure spiritual condition. Of course, this is a very, how you say, simple explanation of why the conditioned soul is here in this world. So here mentioning that our material existence is because of an offense, because we offended the Supreme Person. And that is even there in, well, of course, in the Bible or Christian background. So Adam and Eve were there, right? And so they desired to eat an apple, right? So which they're not supposed to, and then so they were conditioned. So, but it is much more subtle actually, and it is much more complex. How this, so the spiritual world manifested, or it is there since time immemorial. And, how this material world is coming into being by the will of the Lord. And so then therefore rightly some persons, they ask why this material world is created and why the Lord created two kinds of jivas, those who are eternally conditioned and those who are eternally perfect. Why He created. So from that point of view, so what is the fault of the Nityabada? They didn't want to be Nityabada. You wanted to be Nityabada? You? No, nobody wanted. So, but in this world, the majority of the jivas are Nityabada. Only those who are sent by the Supreme Lord, or they come with the Supreme Lord when He performs His pastimes, they are Nitya-siddha. So then the question may be there, why some Nitya-siddha are there and why some are Nityabada? So if we analyze everything, or those who are intelligent, so they will ask these kind of questions. And then it is just not a simple thing to then say that the jivas, they came to this material existence because of an offense, because they offended the Supreme Person. But as again, so I explained that just like in the Bible, so some idea is given so for ordinary persons to have some kind of understanding that the spiritual realm is there and the material realm is there, and somehow some persons are here in the material world. But by worshipping God, they can go to the kingdom of God. So therefore here, according to the person, so sometimes a simple explanation is given. And then later on, when the person is more qualified, then more may be explained, and he can understand more subtle things in regards to spiritual life, in regards to the creation of the Lord, in regards to even the material existence. Yadavdas, what are appropriate endeavors? Anantadas, sadhusanga, association of devotees. Papati, surrender are proper means. So that is very important, the association of the devotees. In the beginning, that is actually most important, because the conditioned soul, in the beginning, he doesn't have an understanding, he doesn't have about spiritual life, he has not much knowledge about the spiritual realm, about the process of how to become free from this material entanglement, how to make advancement in spiritual life. Therefore, he has to associate with the sadhus, with the devotees who are more advanced, who are realized. And in their association, they will gain knowledge, they will gain inspiration, and then they can slowly but surely also advance. And then property. So surrender, that has to be there. Of course, different degrees of surrender are there. In the beginning, the surrender is partial. In the beginning of spiritual life, a conditioned soul, a sadhaka, practicing devotee, he cannot fully surrender, because he is under the modes of material nature. So therefore his surrender is partial, but he is endeavoring to be surrendered. He is endeavoring to follow the instructions of the spiritual master, to engage in devotional activities as much as possible. Of course, he tries to be fully absorbed, but it is not possible. In the beginning, where the heart is not pure, when anattas are there, then one is under the modes of material nature, and if anattas are there, unwanted things in the heart, then one is bound to be influenced by that. And therefore, how he can surrender? He cannot. But the endeavor to surrender is there. So that is also one form of surrender, that is partial surrender. And the more one becomes pure, the more the surrender will be there, the surrender will be real. We find the following statement about sadhusanga in Srimad Bhagavatam. Atadhyantikam kshemam prichamo bhavato anagaha samsarismin kshanarto pisat sanga sevadhir nrinam. O sinless one, we are inquiring from you about the supreme benefit. In this material world, even half a moment's association with the Shuddha Bhakta is the greatest wealth for human beings. Kshan ardo, just one kshan, one moment, api satsanga. So even a little association can bring so much benefit for the human being. If one asks how jivas who have fallen into this material existence can attain their supreme benefit, I will reply that it can be obtained by having satsanga even for half a moment. Sadhusanga, sadhusanga, sarva shastakaya. Ei lalva matra sadhusanga, sarva siddhi hoy. Lava matra, that is just a fraction. So kshan is a moment or half a moment. Moment, you can say, it is a second. So half a moment is half a second. And one lava, how much is one lava? 7 seconds? No.
1 second
Lava?
divided by 7?
No. No? Nobody knows? 1/11th, yeah. Okay. Just a fraction of a second. If a sadhu is there and somebody may just somehow notice, oh, looks like this is a sadhu, and they're just passing by. So, if he has a positive attitude, because the sadhus are there and they are, of course, absorbed in the service of the Lord, but when they are in this world, they're always trying to benefit others. And they're trying to give some mercy to others also. They're praying for the conditioned souls. They want to help the conditioned souls. So if one is receptive, one is open-minded, positive, then he will get the benefit of a sadhu, even just seeing him for a moment. So therefore we should try to be in the association of the advanced devotees as much as possible. But then ultimately that is not enough. But then we have to endeavor. So if one is taking one moment's association or is able to get just the attention of a pure devotee, so pure devotee may be seeing a person, and so that person may benefit if he's positive, if he's receptive, if he's in a mode of goodness, if he's trying to advance in spiritual life. And then by that blessing of pure devotee, of a great devotee, then he may endeavor more seriously. But then he has to endeavor more and more seriously. And then he can ultimately gain perfection. But usually there's a need of more than just a second association of a great devotee. We need a lot of moments of association of a great devotee in order to become sufficiently purified, sufficiently strong in our endeavor to attain perfection. So endeavor is also very important. We need to endeavor and then we need the mercy. If we endeavor, we get the mercy and then we can endeavor better. Then we get more mercy, then we can endeavor more. So it is going on like this. And then first we get the mercy of a pure devotee so that we can sufficiently advance, and then we may attain the mercy of the Lord, of Mahaprabhu or Krishna. Then we can become completely free from this material entanglement. And then realize ourself. So that is the complete mercy. Atmak Sakshatkar, direct experience of the self. And then when direct experience of the self is there, then direct experience of Krishna is there. It goes hand in hand. Or when we have direct experience of Krishna, then we'll have direct experience of ourselves. So, but it will take some time. So property is described in Bhagavad Gita as follows. Daiviyeshu gunamaya mama maya turatyaya mamaviye prapadyante maya mitam tarantite. This divine potency of mind known as Daivi Maya consists of the three modes of nature, Sattva, Raja and Tamas. Human beings cannot cross over this Maya by their own efforts, and therefore it is very difficult to overcome. Only those who surrender unto me can cross beyond this potency of mind. So, prapadyante, so different names of surrender. Prapati, prapadyante, atma samarpanam, atma nivedanam, sharanagati, and so on. So here, endeavor is there. So surrender means endeavor is there. We have to endeavor. But that is not sufficient, but then by Daivi Maya, or the divine potency, Daivi Shakti. So by the internal potency. So of course as here, so Devi Shakti, it may refer also to the external energy, which is there, which is Krishna's energy of course also, which consists of the modes of material nature also. Gunamai, Guna, Rajagun, Sattvagun and Tamagun. So two aspects of the Daivi Shakti. One is external energy, one is internal energy. Just like Maya, two kinds of Maya, Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. Internal potency, the internal energy, and then the external energy. So the conditioned soul is first under the influence of the external potency, Mahamaya. But by trying to surrender to Krishna, then slowly but surely one may become free from the external potency, Maya, and one comes under the influence of the internal potency, Yoga Maya. And then by the internal potency, then we can ultimately surrender to Krishna. We can become free from the external energy. If we are under the internal energy, if we are not under the internal energy, we cannot become free from the external energy. Sleeping mode? Yes. So, Mama Maya, my Maya, Duratyaya, difficult to overcome. The external potency is not easy to overcome. So the Jiva is always under some kind of control. Either the internal potency or the external potency. So if we are in Krishna consciousness, if we are surrendered to Krishna, if we are on the spiritual platform, so we are under the potency of, or we are under the influence of the internal potency. We are not independent of, we cannot be independent. So Krishna is Swarat, fully independent, and is the controller of everything. He's not under the control of the external energy nor the internal energy. He's the control of the energies. But the jivas are, so they have some svatantrata, some independence which is minor. Either they can be under the internal potency or external potency. That is the choice. So you can choose. You want to be under the internal potency or the external potency. So what do you want to be? Under what? Internal potency. You? Of course, yeah. So why are you going on to the external potency? because small independence is there. And you're choosing, right? Choosing to be in Maya. Of course, it is difficult to accept, but it is ultimately there. So every second Prabhupada has explained, and we can understand. So we have to actually choose consciously, Krishna or Maya, Krishna or Maya. So every second. So in the beginning stage of spiritual life, the jiva is not so strong. And spiritual strength is not there. So it means because of being under the modes of material nature, very much covered still. So, but then we have to purify our existence, our consciousness. And then when we become more and more free from the external energy, and by the mercy of the Lord, and then by spiritual strength, and that is coming then also from the Lord or the eternal energy, eternal potency, then we can become free from the external potency. And then we can choose to surrender to Krishna always. So it is a very fine line. So externally, so it is not just externally putting on the dhoti or sari or gopi skirt or whatever. And even being brahmachari or grihastha, everyone is struggling unless one is highly advanced. So those who are highly advanced, who are purified in consciousness, at least ruchi or sakti, attached to Krishna, so then they are spiritually strong and they are not influenced by Maya or hardly influenced by Maya. But still they have to be careful because the external energy is very strong. And therefore even those who are advanced, they are praying to Guru, Gauranga, Krishna for protection. So they may not come under the influence of the external energy. They may not fall. So in the beginning, of course now still it is there sometimes, but in the beginning of our movement, so everyone was trying to be engaged in devotional service and thinking, yes, we chant Hare Krishna and we become perfect very soon, we go back home to Godhead. But then as time was passing by, oh, this person fell down, that person fell down, this person fell down, that person fell down, hoi, hoi, hoi. Even then they asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, how this devotee fell down? We thought he's so advanced. And then Prabhupada said, don't be surprised, or even going away from the movement. Don't be surprised or astonished at who is going, but be surprised to see who is staying here. So then speaking of fall down, but actually in the beginning stage everyone is still fallen. So then where's the question of fall down, if you're already fallen? Yeah. So if you are advanced like Bharat Maharaj in Bhavavasta or a Sakti, then if somebody is falling down, then wow, okay. But if he's anatta nivriti, so many anattas are there, he's fallen. So you cannot say, oh, fall down. He's fallen already, he's fallen. So we should try to come to the platform of Nishtha Ruchi. So that is Madhyamadikari. Prabhupada used to say also, try to become secondary devotee, Madhyamadikari. So that is on the platform of Nishtha, Ruchi. Manadis. Of course, the beginning stage of Madhyamadikari, so still some anattas may be there. He may not be completely free from anatta nivriti, but almost free. But then the Madhyam, so he's free from anatta nivriti. He's on the platform of Nishta, and then Ruchi. Still some anattas are there, but they're not so much, and they're not bothering him so much or disturbing him so much. And he can perform his devotional service quite nicely. But so, one has to be careful and guard against offenses and try to be in good association and pray for the mercy of the Lord. And one has to sincerely endeavor so he may advance. And even then try to be in good association, that is important. Of course, then sometimes one may say it's difficult to have good association, but then we have to pray for good association. And if externally it is not there, then internally we have to pray. And pray to the acharyas, the previous acharyas. And then take shelter of the writings of the acharyas. And in this way some association will be there. So if you pray to Rupa Goswami every day strongly, then some association will be there, some mercy will be there. You read the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Upadeshamrita. And you consider, you see the original verse, the Sanskrit, and you read. So then you pray that you can follow. Bhajjo vegam manaso krodha vegam. Okay, very good. You know also? By heart? Okay, good. You? No? You read it, but you didn't memorize yet. Okay. It's good verse to memorize. So it's good to memorize some verses. That will help also. And so in this way then some association can be there. There's Vapu and there's Vani. Vani means the words of the spiritual master or the instructions. So if you have heard one time, and then you may remember again and again, or it is written down, so that is the Vani also. And in this way Vani Seva actually is more important than Vapu Seva. But in the conditioned state we should have, and when the spiritual master is there, we should have Vapu, the physical association also. And then Vani will be there also, we will hear. And that will help. So, but as explained here in this verse, which from Bhagavad Gita, so Mama Maya Duratyaya, this Duratyaya is very difficult to overcome, this external energy. Right? You agree? Everyone agrees? No? Not difficult, yes?
You mentioned like its external energy is very strong.
Yes.
So is it stronger than the internal energy?
No, of course not. External energy is nothing in comparison to the internal energy. External energy is nothing.
Then why Srila Prabhupada is saying that don't be surprised who leaves, but be surprised who stays.
Yeah.
Because the internal energy, they have experience, and if they have taken...
But the thing is, no, they have not tasted enough the internal energy. Because they are weak. That's why. Because they are not advanced. Therefore they come under the influence of the external energy. But the devotee who is strong, then he is under the internal energy, and then the external energy is nothing. But he will be very careful, and he will pray to be under the internal energy. Please, push hand. And please help me, and then praying to the internal energy. And even he may pray to the external energy, please leave me alone. There are other jivas you can try to, but leave me alone. Yeah, the question? Both are transcendental? I mean, ultimately, yes, the external energy is a manifestation of the internal energy. And so the external energy, Maya Devi, she's also a servant of Krishna. Like Durga Devi, she's a servant of Krishna. So you may also say transcendental, yes. So the external energy, if you see the person Maya Devi, so she's deputed by Krishna to do this seva. And also Durga Devi. So she's also a manifestation of the external potency for some purpose. In the beginning of the creation, actually, even before Lord Brahma. So Vishnu is the original creator, Krishna ultimately by his will. Then this material energy is manifested and Mahavishnu is there. And then, but when it is, the different elements are created and it comes into being before Lord Brahma, even then Shiva, Shambhu, and Parvati are there. The divine hello, it is mentioned there in the Brahma Samhita, and they are instrumental also in the beginning of creation. They're helping. Because Krishna is transcendental, even Vishnu is transcendental. So the material world is not transcendental and the material elements are there. So then Shiva and Durga, so they are, to some extent they are transcendental also, but then there's some kind of association with the material energies there, which is manifested. So that is Lord Shiva. And then Durga Devi also. And by the help of Shiva and Durga Devi, then this material existence is practically manifest, and then the jivas are coming here, and then Lord Brahma is there, the secondary creator. After Vishnu and after Shiva and Parvati, then Lord Brahma comes only. And then the things are being created, the different bodies and the different jivas. So then they will be put in different bodies. And then after, at the time of the solution of this material existence, so Shiva is, Krishna, Vishnu is exhaling, and then unlimited universes are manifested. One is inhaling, the other entering his body. But then some kind of dissolution is there, destruction of the material world is there. So there also Lord Shiva and Durga Devi are there, helping with that. Tanda Nritya, he is dancing. Lord Shiva is dancing, and the destruction is there. And then Durga Devi is helping him. So, so the external energy is there, and so Lord Shiva and Parvati, they are also ultimately servants of Krishna, the Supreme Lord. Yatha Vaishnavam Shambhu. Shambhu is the greatest Vaishnava. So he's a great Vaishnava. So he's remembering Mahaprabhu, he's remembering Krishna. So, and Durga Devi also. So because the jiva is not strong, therefore he comes under the influence of the external energy. So the external energy is manifestation of the internal energy. So Krishna is Mool Purush, Adi Purush, Swayam Bhagavan, and so all the Vishnu Tattva, personalities of Godhead are expansions of Krishna. Even Lord Shiva is a manifestation of Krishna for the purpose of helping in the creation of this world and the destruction of this world. And then Srimati Radharani, she is Mool Shakti. the principal internal potency. And all the Lakshmi Devis are expansions of Srimati Radharani. And even Durga Devi is an expansion of Radharani, Saraswati Devi, goddess of learning. They're all expansions of Srimati Radharani. And sometimes, so even Saraswati, Adi Saraswati, so she's a manifestation of Radharani, but then she's transcendently situated. Like Sri Lakshmi Devi, Rama Devi, the internal potency, goddess of fortune. But then, so Durga Devi, Parvati Devi, a manifestation of the internal potency, but for the purpose of creation and destruction, to keep the conditioned souls in illusion. So she's definitely less than the internal potency, the external potency, and Durga Devi. But even Durga can also mean the internal potency or the external potency. And Saraswati, there's the from the internal potency, and then there's a goddess Saraswati, a demigoddess Saraswati, which is also under the influence of the external potency. But the goddess of learning. So different manifestations are there, and those from the internal potency, of course, they are superior than those of the external potency. So, the external potency is a manifestation of the internal potency. So the internal potency is superior. But because the jivas are not strong, even the sadhakas, therefore they are more prone to be under the external potency than the internal potency. So what do you think in your day? How much you are under the internal potency, how much under the external potency? Huh? Hardly what? Mostly under the external potency. Yeah. And you?
Same.
And you? You? Always external potency. Even while chanting. Yeah. Not easy. Huh? No, very difficult. Yeah. So that's a reality. Why? Because we are not strong yet. Because the purity is not there. That's all. So therefore we are under the external potency. So it's not the fault of the potency, right? So it does not mean that the external potency is stronger. It's just we are weak. The conditioned soul is weak. Therefore is under the external potency. But what to do? But
now there is a question why internal potency is not being merciful, why not appearing like once in a while so we can get strong? Why is it so difficult?
Yes. So the internal potency is there, and Bhakti Devi is there. And she's saying, come. Radha Thakurani, come. Let's serve Krishna now. Forget about your mind and your body and whatever. So the internal potency is there, and Krishna is there, and they're trying to help. But just due to insufficient, of course, ultimately spiritual sukriti, that one is not able to be under the internal potency. I mean, just like a child. So the child is there, the small child. So the quality to walk is there in the child. But because the small child is there, he cannot walk. But then with the help of, first he's just crawling. So in the beginning the devotees are crawling, right? But then with the help of the mother and the father, the child can make a few steps. And so the father and the mother are holding the child, then the child can walk a little bit. So, but then sometimes the father, okay, now you try. And the child a few steps and then falling. And then the father is coming, helping hand, and then the child is going again. But then after some time the child can walk. So like this. So therefore, also in spiritual life, so the Lord is very merciful. From internally he's trying to help, but the jiva cannot really see the help of the Lord and the guidance. Because the jiva is so much under the external energy. So therefore he's sending the representative, the spiritual master. And the spiritual master is taking the disciple by the hand, come, get up and chant Hare Krishna. Okay, you serve now. You do this, you do that, and then hear Harikatha. And then in this way, in the association of the spiritual master, with the help of the spiritual master, then one can walk a little bit. Just like usually when a discourse is there and you hear something about Mahaprabhu or Krishna, then what is the problem? There's no Maya, right? Mahaprabhu is there and Krishna is there. We speak about Mahaprabhu and Krishna. And then they can become present. We can see Krishna. So when we hear Krishna Katha or Hari Katha, so when we are absorbed in that, then Maya will not be there. Mostly, but still Maya can be there also. So we have to be careful and we have to be focused and attentive and try to control the mind and senses. So because still even when Harikatha is there, sometimes the mind is there, or sometimes looking at the mobile or thinking of something, this problem, that problem, but we should leave these things away. But then if you hear Harikatha, there's more chance that we can be absorbed. And then one can feel transcendental pleasure. And then one may feel the presence of the Lord, or one may be transferred if we hear about Braj and the wonderful pastimes in Braj. Then one may be for some moments in Braj, at least to some extent. But then the class is over, and then material energy is there, and then struggle is there till the next class, or till maybe we're doing something, or if you have some taste for chanting, then we can also be a little okay, maybe, if you have some nishta, nam nishta, or nam ruchi, then one is okay. So, but then the point is actually then with the help of the spiritual master, the advanced devotees, then we can be somewhat under the influence, under the internal potency to some extent, and somewhat free from the external potency. So therefore, we should be in the association of the devotees who are more advanced. And then we can be under the internal potency, and then that will help us. And then other times, then we can pray and we can remember the good moments, and then we can pray also. And then by doing that, if we become more and more purified, and then we can walk on our own, like the child in the beginning cannot walk on his own, but then after some time he can walk. And then it is easy, and then he runs around and Haribol. But still sometimes he falls also. Even sometimes big people fall. Especially when you get older also. These are the monkeys. So then, sometimes it may happen. The knees are not working, and then one will just fall. But then one will get up and continue. And so in spiritual life also, then when we have practiced for considerable time in good association and by our service, our endeavor, by mercy, then we can be a little more fixed, and then we can be on our own also. And then we can be under the influence of the internal potency also. In purified consciousness, by our prayer also, by crying out for help also. Then we can be under the internal potency for more time. And then we can feel the transcendental pleasure, we can feel the strength, but then still difficulties are coming, but then we pray and then we can overcome the difficulties. So those who are on the platform of Madhyamadikari, so they have purified consciousness, and so they have spiritual strength by which they can hold on to the internal potency, and they are less influenced by the external potency. So the more advanced one is, the more one is under the internal potency, the more one is free from the external potency. So we have to endeavor and be patient and pray for the mercy, and then after some time we'll be there also, and then it will be easier. But even Madhyamadikari, so he is also struggling, but he's struggling less. But only then on the platform of Uttamadikari he is under the influence of the internal energy. And usually from that platform there is no fall down. But still, he has to be careful also, and pray, and he will pray. And then once he has direct experience of the Lord and his self, then Bhagavad Siddha Deha Prapt, and there is no fall down. So it is just a matter of time till we are nicely situated. But when you are not yet so nicely situated, then we just have to tolerate our situation, our struggle. But then we have to be patient and remain enthusiastic and fixed, and it is just a matter of time. So, 10:08. Chandidas, O great soul, I cannot understand your explanation very well. I have understood that we were pure entities and that due to our forgetfulness of Krishna we are falling into the hands of Maya and are bound in this world. If you obtain Krishna's mercy, we can be delivered again, otherwise we will remain in the same condition. So the answer which he's giving is quite long, so that we'll do next time. Any question? Everything is clear? Yes. Okay. Just waiting for the special mercy, right? Yes? Yeah. Yeah, you know.
With special mercy, we have to do something special.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, you have to endeavor and you have to do. Yeah. From nothing, nothing comes.